What do you do for rain management? So like wood frame, it's pretty easy to install a Trex Rain Escape. What's the solution, or how do you install water control?
You could, if you really, really want to, you can still do a trough style between the joists. It's a nightmare. The nice thing with the steel is that you can do the underdeck drainage.
Right.
So you can do like a Galvalume.
I guess that makes sense. You're not worried about the lumber getting wet.
100%. All of the time we talked about the underdeck ones, we were like, well, it's awful because all the moisture travels on the wood and rots that out.
Yeah.
And so
that makes sense.
Yeah, that's actually one of the features we talk about with clients is that, you know, especially people that are doing, say, a second story deck, is that they've got some future proofing in there. So let's say this year the budget's only for the deck, but they really want to have that underneath space. Well, with steel, you can wait a year or 2 years and then do a retrofit underneath drainage system, and you're good to go. You don't have those concerns about the water contact. You don't have the breathability issues that a wood frame has.
Right.
And that's been a real big key.
That's awesome.
Sell the product to people.
And so
you can say, hey, in 2 years, when the budget allows, you can put a ceiling on this.
Right. And then that could counteract their concern about the shiny framing. It's like, well, what you're saving by using the LGS instead of one of these brandable marketed steel options, you could then put towards never seeing it anyway with a drainage system.
Yeah. And when I sell those decks with a rain management system or a second level, the compromise or the trade-off right now is the deck board. You sell a less expensive deck board because you don't want to have that moisture on traveling around. Like doing an underdeck Oasis or a TimberTech dry space is not really it's an option, but it shouldn't be. You know what I mean? It's not as good. So you always sell like the EPDM or the Rain Escape system and then a less expensive deck board. But if you could do the frame and a great board, and then in 2 years, that's awesome.
Have you done Rain Escape or EPDM troughs over top before? And if so, what are you attaching with?
We started one and then just abandoned it. It was ending up being too slow.
Staple gun wasn't really penetrating the steel, eh?
Right. Yeah, actually, we was able to do an attachment. This would fall under specialty tools that you don't need but can have. I've actually got a pneumatic pinning system that does a spiral shank nail, and it fires at about 300 psi. So we could use that to pin we could use that to pin the EPDM down. We actually use it a lot on the rim joist, because we can clamp that rim joist down and shoot a nail through it, and then when we go to do the picture frame, we don't have to account for the hex head anymore. We can get that board to lay flat.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'll bet you that would go clean through your hand at 300 psi. Hey, poof.
I wonder if could a riveter work for that too? Possibly.
It could. I would think. I've never tried, to be honest, but I don't know.